Okay, we are live again up in the office attic, the attic office, whatever you want to call it. On right now, we're sticking with Timeout with Higher Power Sports. Weeds on the Web is right there with it. But we're happy to have you join us on a Sunday afternoon. I'm sure a lot of you are just getting done watching church on TV and things like that as we practice our social distancing and we don't get to go to the service itself. But happy to have everybody that's going to join us and that will watch and listen to this at a later time. Our video yesterday, I just looked at, I think we're at over 500 views, which is pretty amazing. So not to put any pressure on my guest here or make him nervous or anything like that, but people are listening and watching, and I'm getting a lot of positive comments. So we're going to keep doing this tomorrow. We'll go back to 4 o'clock tomorrow. We'll kind of bounce between noon and 4, depending on the day and what my guests have coming up or going on that day. But tomorrow my guest is Mike Henriksen of KWSN Radio and the public broadcasting. He does the color and stuff on the high school basketball tournaments, and he's also an author. So. And, he's also a pretty good guy. So we're looking forward to having him on tomorrow. Also, tomorrow morning, I'll be on the radio at 9:30 with Noah Clare out of Brookings on 9:10 a.m. Again, that's 9:10 a.m. at 9:30. So got a lot going on. Want to start the day off by, obviously, a lot of people know what I kind of do, and, a lot of people ask for prayers and things like that. Always continuing to do that. So if you have any prayer requests, certainly hit me up. Obviously, we're praying for everybody in our world and, to take care of this coronavirus that we got going on. Special thoughts and prayers this morning to Coach Roby and his family. His mother passed away last night or early this morning. And, I know it's a difficult time, obviously, losing them losing their mom, but, not being able to be there with her, watching, looking and communicating through a window these last week or so has been very difficult. So our thoughts and prayers are with them. She was a really special lady, and I'm very thankful that I got to meet her. So our guest this morning, Travis Skillingstad, all the way from Georgia. I think, Travis, you're covered up on the video by the, but yeah. That doesn't show up when we go, so.
That might be for the better.
Travis is, he works with campus ministry at Augusta University. He's the campus director through campus outreach. Is that correct, Travis?
That is correct, yeah.
Awesome. And, a little backstory on Travis is Travis was a very good high school football player and was pretty highly recruited. Some Power 5 schools were looking at him and got injured. Ended up taking a scholarship at Augie up here in Sioux Falls, and then was injured again and moved back to Georgia to finish out his degree. But the best part of, and we're going to have Travis on, I just talked to Travis, we're going to have him on later to share a lot of that backstory at a later date. But the best part about Travis is my nephew. So, he's got a lot to live up. No, the bar is set very low, Travis. So
good genes.
Yeah. So, Travis, welcome to the show today. And if you want to just give a little, I gave a little rundown on you, but if you want to give a little rundown on what you got going.
Yeah. So I work with a campus ministry called Campus Outreach, like Tim said. We work specifically, so the organization itself is not only in the U.S., but also in several other countries around the world. And it's a ministry that's devoted to specifically college students. And so as soon as I graduated, as well as getting my master's, I took a job with this organization working with college students. And really, the reason why I chose this particular avenue is because college was such a formative time for me. And I think a formative time for most anybody that does go to college. It's the first time that you're really away from your parents for most people, and you're kind of forced to form your own ideas about who you are and what you believe about the world and things like that. And so I just think it's a really impactful time to invest in people's lives. Those, late teen to early 20 years is really when you're trying to figure out who you are and what you believe about the world. And so I've been doing that this is finishing up my fourth year now. And I've been at Augusta University for all those years. And for me, particularly, like Tim said, I love sports and got the ability to play in college, even if it was just for 1 year. And so I really have a passion for sports even to this day. And so I primarily work with the athletic teams here at Augusta University. And so the two primary ones that I work with are the baseball team and the golf team. It's pretty cool. Augusta being the home of the Masters tournament, our golf team is one of the best in the country. And so it's really cool to be able to interact with those guys. And hopefully one day even they'll get to drag me out on that course so I can shoot a 150 on Augusta National. But yeah, so I work with students directly, and then the other half of my job is I'm the campus director, which means we've got other people on staff at this organization at this campus, and so I lead that team and just kind of help coach them and train them and as how to interact with students and things like that.
Awesome. Sounds like you're pretty busy. Similar to what I do with Higher Power Sports. And the fact that you're trying to help young people, and you're not that far removed from college. You've only been out a few years. How is you find obviously for me, some of my success comes from being a father figure, being somebody that's has the war stories, so to speak. And for kids, especially that come from quite a ways away, I can kind of fill that role. How do you see your role being a little younger with those kids, not only on the golf team or the baseball team, but throughout campus?
Yeah. Well, I'm 27 now, so I'm still, not, like you said, not far from the college world, but I have noticed even just in this past year, we are in the South, so, I get some yes sirs and things like that thrown my way, so it makes me feel a little old. But I do think, I do have the ability to say, look, I was in your shoes not that long ago. I know the things that you're going through. I know the thoughts that you're thinking and the fears and things like that you have. And I think even within the sports world, and I know that you probably experienced this, there's the temptation that sports kind of raises us to just kind of shove things down and not think about things and not appear weak in any way or not appear like we've got any problems or anything like that. And I think just being able to come alongside guys and say, look, it's okay. I understand. I've been there. I've had those problems myself. And then even, not all the time, but most of the time I've been able to come out on the other side of those things and being able to say, look, I know you're going through this. I know this is what, whatever hardship it is, I promise I know what that's like. And I can tell you that I've gotten through it and there's a way to get through it.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's, pretty powerful, to have somebody in your life that is there for you when, when things aren't going well, or, you feel alone, or, you feel like the world's coming down on you, and to have somebody like that that's been through some of the stuff and has, like you said, not only been through it, but come out on the other end, I've been through quite a bit of stuff, most of it on my own doing, and I've come out through the other end. It wasn't a straight shot coming out that other end, though. I took detours here and there, and so like you said, it's for me and you in our world a little bit to be able to help them see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you can get through this, and you know, I don't. You're not a bad person. You're not alone. Whether it's something you did that you shouldn't have done, or maybe it's a feeling, and like you said, you're feeling weak. You're never alone in this thing, right?
Yeah, and I think that's really big for, especially, I'm sure you see this with a lot of the students that you're working with now. Is we're more connected than we ever have been in the history of the world with technology. Even this is an example of that. But there's also lots of studies that have come out that say each generation that's coming up is the loneliest generation that's ever come, because we're so isolated. And even this is a good example of that. And so I think just that presence is really big for a lot of people, being with someone. And that's a big part of our ministry philosophy is, we don't just want to get a touch with them here and there, but we really want to do life with them and be able to lock arms with guys.
That's awesome. You mentioned, how disconnected we are. One thing that I thought about over this last week or so that we've kind of been quarantined here, think about, I thought about, some of the popular people, that are feeling, I want to be out there. I want to be doing something. And it made me really think, I wonder if those people that are feeling bored, that are missing their friends, they can really think about those people that, say in high school, that get excluded from a lot of things because they're not the popular kids. This is what we're going through. Some of us are going through is what people go through almost on a daily basis, and those feelings of isolation aren't uncommon for a lot of people in our world because they're excluded from a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think even thinking about knowing that you do the Be Kind presentation and things like that, I think this certainly is an unusual time that we're in, and certainly something I've never seen before. But I think even though there's a lot of chaos and uncertainty, I do think that there's a lot of good that can come out of this time, because it really makes you evaluate what are the pillars in your life, what are the things that you're standing on, what are the things that your foundation of your life is built on. And when tragedy strikes, when chaos happens, are those things strong enough to hold you up, or are they going to crumble? And I think a big part of that is, what's your interaction with other people like? Are you someone that just uses people to puff yourself up, or are you someone that truly does? Even thinking of one of my favorite verses in Philippians says, "Count others as more significant than yourself." So are you someone that truly views other people as more significant than yourself?
Yeah, that's, a good thought. And one thing that I didn't mention about you, Travis, is you're taking some seminary classes, and you're about halfway through seminary, I think. And we, I rely, obviously, Higher Power Sports is a faith-based nonprofit ministry, so to speak. But a lot of my talks aren't faith-related, so to speak, because I speak in public schools and things like that. But everything we say, or I say, really goes back to my faith, goes back to the Bible. And even though a lot of times I might not use the words, especially in a public school and things like that, or, with certain individuals, you want to, you don't want to overbear them or anything like that with, in your face stuff. But as you go in your daily, being a campus ministry.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, walk that balance or that line of, hey, we're here about faith, but we don't want to be in your face. We don't want to be, but this is important stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think, me and the people that work within this organization have a little bit more freedom because we're saying, hey, this is a faith-based thing, and that's our main objective is to talk about these faith things. And so really ideally, it doesn't always happen because there is a lot of fear of what people might say or what they might think of me and things like that. But ideally, it's just to offer people and say, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I want to offer you. If you're interested, then I'd love to talk to you more about it. And if not, then one of the things we try really hard to do is if you're not interested, that doesn't mean I'm deleting your phone number and I don't want to talk to you. I'll still hang out with you. We'll still be friends. I'm not gonna, try to, like you said, force anything upon you. But I think something that I've learned just over the years is, within our organization, we have a phrase or a diagram or an acrostic for everything. And so one of the things we say a lot is more is caught than taught, which is basically saying, I could stand in front of someone and say all these things all day long, and maybe they get it, maybe they don't. But if I live it out in front of someone, then that's really going to impact them. And so even for people that aren't interested, I still want to be in their lives, and I still want to be a good friend to them. I still want to help them in any way I can. And, a lot of times we've even seen people that have, we've said, this is what we're about. And they say, no, thanks. But we still kind of interact with them. And then later they'll come up and say, I've been thinking more about this and I'd like to know more. And so I think it's just being present in people's lives and not being afraid to say, this is what I believe in. This is where my hope is found. And if you want to know more about that, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it.
That's awesome. And again, what an influential time. And I think you hit the nail on the head, so to speak, when you said, because what I say with my relationship with Dakota Wesleyan football, I'll get 100 guys. I have 100 guys coming in, and I got all their numbers. And then, the first week, inevitably, 5, 6, 7 of them are going to leave that first week.
Right.
I don't delete those phone numbers, even though I have maybe not even talked to those people one-on-one, but I don't. And it's amazing after a month or 2 months or a year later, or maybe it's, once they see something that I'm doing on Facebook or something, either their parents or them will contact me and ask me to, about something or to pray for them or for advice or something like that. So again, I really, that really struck a chord with me that, it's not about that instant gratification, so to speak. It's about building those relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. And, relationships is a huge thing. And, not just with business, but even in ministry, we can get caught up in numbers, so to speak, and say, this many people are coming to this, and I'm dealing with this many people. And so we do our best to not get caught up in that and not necessarily even worry about that, but to really focus on relationships and the relationship that we build with people.
Yeah, that's good. Travis, obviously, you're my nephew. What I've been talking to the other guests that I've had this week is, during this difficult time, how important family is. And obviously, I'm in South Dakota, and I thought we had a great day here because it's about 50, 55 degrees right now, sun shining, and then I get on the FaceTime with you, and you tell me it's going to be 88 there, so you're one-upping me right away. But talk about family and, how difficult or how important, and then how difficult or, during this time where we're quarantined and things like that, because you're also a newly engaged.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think when I look back at my life to some of the pivotal moments of my life and the people that were there for those moments of my life, it's always family. There's friends there too, but family's always been there. I even think back to, when I got injured in high school, like you said, and still really wanted to play football and knew the risk of if I continue to play football, there's a good chance that this injury happens again. And then inevitably, when I'm at Augie, it happens again. And now doctors tell me we really think it would be unwise for you to continue to play. And for me, someone who really loves sports and had up to that point built my whole identity on sports, my whole world is just kind of crumbled right there. Is everyone as they're playing sports thinks that they're the ones that get to determine when they stop playing and how they stop playing, and sadly, that's not the case for a lot of athletes. Even in the midst of this coronavirus, there's probably so many athletes that thought they were finishing out their senior years and doing all these things, and now they have no control over when they get to stop. And so that was really hard for me, was not being able to kind of self-determine when does this stop. And I remember, you and even your brother, my other Uncle Tom, being there since I was so far away from my parents in Georgia, being there for me, and even just being present with me. And I don't even remember a whole lot of what you guys said, but I do remember that you guys were both there for me and spent time with me. And I think it's a cliche country song, but there's a song that says you find out who your friends are basically when things go poorly. And I think in those moments in my life, it's always been family that have always been there through thick or thin. Whenever things get rough, family's always there to build me back up. And so that's been a huge part of my life for sure. And then even like you said, trying to navigate in a sense, becoming my own family and being engaged and thinking through things like that. And so trying to be a good fiance, even in quarantine, what that looks like, and still trying to think well for my fiance and love her well and do all those things. And so there's really no escaping family in my life. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're very lucky in your family. Obviously, you got a great uncle. Not a great uncle, a great uncle.
Yeah.
And so that makes things easier. But as you were talking about that, I just thought about your two grandpas and what great men they are, Grandpa Bob and Grandpa Dick, and what great guidance just by maybe not even by what they say, but just the way they go about their lives and they live their lives.
Yeah.
That's had to be pretty special for you.
Yeah, they're both of my grandpas, Grandpa Dick and Grandpa Bob, both men that I would be lucky to emulate my life after. And I don't know if I've been supported in anything I do than I have more than by those two. In high school, obviously I'm in Georgia and Grandpa Dick is up in South Dakota in Parkston. And so, but even, him making the 1,000-mile trip down to watch games and even making scrapbooks about my athletic career and stuff like that. It's amazing how supportive both of them have been from at times such a far ways away. And I think, Lord willing, if I get to be their age, man, what a blessing it would be to be what they've been in my life to my grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very fortunate to have those two as leaders and mentors of our families. I know we talk quite a bit about, obviously higher power sports, and what you do is a lot about going out and raising funds, which isn't any fun at all.
Yeah.
But when I'm actually rereading this book, Travis, that
Okay,
you
yeah.
talked about, but balancing, the fundraising in your world and helping kids and your family and all that. How is that going for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably my least favorite aspect of what I do. But I think when I truly understand it, and I think a lot of that has to do with I just don't never understood what that means to live off of financial support and be a ministry that lives off financial support. But through reading books like that and even reading the Bible and seeing what the Bible has to say even about these things, and then just getting out and having conversations with people, I've been blown away by how many people are eager to partner with me and say, and that's really, that's the perspective that I have, that it really is people partnering with me. It's, maybe I meet with a guy and he can't be on the college campus like I can, but he still wants to have an impact. And the way he can have an impact is by supporting me so that I can go and do that work. And the same thing for you. Maybe some of the people that are really loving what higher power sports is about and what you do is, maybe they can't get in their car and drive 200,000 miles like you can, which I don't know that anybody could do that other than you, but they really believe in what you're doing and want to be a part of it, and that's an easy way for them to be a part of it and actually make a meaningful contribution in the work that's being done. So I think when I have proper perspective, then it's actually a really great thing that's a part of my job. But it's just easy in the world that we live in to see it as a burden for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. By far the least favorite thing I want to do. But then when I get out and I'm talking to somebody about what we do and I see them get excited about it, and then when they want to help out, then it's one of the most rewarding things that I do is when people really want to jump on board. And I hope people will continue to reach out to you and support you. And we're going to run out of time here shortly, but will you come back and talk more? Maybe in a couple weeks, and enjoy the weather out there, and stay safe. Any last words or maybe a favorite Bible verse to go on as we start a new week here?
Yeah, I think this quarantine, this state that we find ourselves in, has really been a challenge to me to kind of, like I said, evaluate my life. What are the pillars of my life? What am I truly trusting in? I'm going through a chronological Bible to read the Bible in a year, and I do that every year. But where I'm at now, we're reading through the book of Joshua, and Joshua, this is the Israelites going to take back the promised land that God has promised them. And, before they take it back, there's all these armies that are currently occupying this land. And this people group, the Israelites, are not a warrior people. They're not a great army, but just seeing how constantly God provides in some miraculous ways, whether it's he just makes walls fall down. He stops the sun in the sky to give people more time in battle, and just all the ways that God is providing in seemingly really difficult circumstances in the midst of a war. I think it's just been really encouraging to me that even in this time, God is still on the throne. He's not left. He's still in control of everything. He still knows everything that's going on. He's not surprised. And that should give me a whole lot of peace and comfort that he truly is still very much in control and still knows what's going on. And even the promise later, one of the most quoted promises in Scripture in Romans 8:28, that all things work together for the good of those who love God. And we're being conformed more and more into the image of Jesus. And so I think even finding things like this, where it's like, even in this, somehow God's working this out for my good. So those are just some things that I've been trying to cling on to.
Absolutely. And got my Bible right here. One of my favorite is Joshua. Have you not heard? Do you not know? He's here with us. And, even through these trying times and, again, for somebody like me who is out all the time and talking to people and loves to be out on the road and being stuck in-house, so to speak, is difficult. But I know that there's brighter days ahead. And even in these dark days, there's bright spots, and we got to take advantage of those. Like you mentioned, the colors of your world. Take a look.
Yeah.
Again, in South Dakota, it is bright and sunny out my window right now. It's going to be nice and warm down in Atlanta. Get out in your yard, wave to your neighbors, give your grandpa a call, whatever it may be today.
Yeah.
So, all right, Travis, we thank you for your time, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.